For a young friend, should I say. Welcome and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. 34 years ago, wasn't it? Something like that? 14 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, Chester came to our board meeting and said that we needed to build a bigger cellar door because we couldn't get people in it. And he designed the cube as a puzzle, and it's a puzzle with the wine industry. So the Rubik's Cube came about, and of course the cost was huge, and I refused to do it. I got a nasty illness and was in hospital for a while, and when I was getting better, he got me out one day for 2 hours down to the board meeting when I was still weak and not well, and agreed to do it. And $13 million later, it's about to open. And of course, it was not going to cost that much when we did it. It was sort of more like 8 or 10 or something. But it's surprising how things overrun. But I'm very proud of the fact that it's such an iconic building, and I believe one of our architects is here today.
Engineer,
Sarah Constructions actually did the work, and you've already had success with them in some other areas, I believe. Well, I think this is one of their. I think we probably got a bit of influence there because one of the directors says grapes, and we lose grapes. So there's a bit of mutual business. I want to thank a lot of people, though, particularly the media, who've been incredibly supportive of this, the SA Coast, the tourism departments, but not only in South Australia, from interstate too, and there are representatives of them here today. The actual support has been very encouraging. The local district is very supportive of it too, because it's not just Tarrenburg, it's McLaren Vale. And we have a lovely, friendly atmosphere with McLaren Vale. It always has been. And I had no training really. I just left school at Matricon. And I was saying earlier today, one of the things that I did achieve was, after I was President Warren Brady and a lot of things like that, they put me on the board for the degree of Enology at Roseworthy, which I thought was pretty good, having just got my trick. And I did say one thing there that they didn't have on it. I said they've got to have a computer subject because I'm computer literate. And they said, good point. And we got that one put in. But the whole district has been behind this, and there are a couple of other big functions now brewing, which are much bigger than this, which means we're going to go ahead. McLaren Vale is an amazing area. It's got lovely beaches along the coast here, and there's something like 80 wineries, I think, now. And it's just amazing the tourism potential for it. So media people that are here, thank you for coming, and I can see the television and stuff too. So this is what we do this for. We do it to make a noise and to get your support. Behind the scenes, of course, my maintenance crew, headed by Andy Davis, have been stationed here while it's being finished and so on. And one of the things which is absolutely unique is that one of their maintenance guy, Richard Hoggett, is a brilliant designer, and you should have a look at the tables. They're made out of wine barrels. It's unbelievable. And a lot of the furniture is made out of wine barrels and vats and things that have been pulled down. Again, giving it a winemaking theme. I have a whole list of names here which I'm not going to bring out, but thank you all for coming, particularly the media ones and our bank. I think are represented here. They're pretty important. And there are a whole list here, but thank you for coming. The local Fleurieu Press too is here, which is probably one of the highlights of our publicity. Anyway, would you like to make your...
I think I'm next, actually.
Yes.
Oh,
That's right.
Chester.
Yeah, I'm next.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not young enough to do my whole speech without it in front of me like my father is. He's younger at heart than me, obviously. So yes, I'd also like to welcome Jay here and Leon and Lorraine, of course, and wine industry and tourism bodies who are here, thank you, and also all the Osborne family who you can see Ruby and Mimi here, and my cousin Eliza who's on the board as well, and my partner Kath, and Alicia is actually here, my other third daughter, and she's actually serving us today, you'll see her wandering around. And yes, ANZ and here as well, and the only person who actually was involved in building the building, Dave Reynolds, is here from CPR, who was the structural engineer. If you want to talk about what the process was like, I'm sure he can fill you in on the hairy bits. But as Dad said, I also would like to pay homage to the Kaurna people who we built this property on their land, past and present Kaurna, who were the first true great artists really in Australia, and Pablo Picasso, I believe they were the first contemporary artists actually in the world that when you go back and see how long dot paintings have been done for and how they represented the landscape, and really that's I suppose is just a modern day version of what they've been doing. So yes, it was 2003 when I came up with the concept, and I presented a little model about this big to the board, and my uncle said, wow, that's a pretty impressive building. It had little vines there and soldiers and ambulances and things and whatever, and he said if winemaking doesn't work out, I reckon you get a pretty good job as a model maker. and Mimi was actually only one then when I presented that. In fact, they grew up with this model and whatever in the building, and actually I think helped me make it, and thought it was just a fictitious idea that was just a bit crazy. In fact, I think the board thought I was crazy mad at the time, but now I think they might be thinking that I'm actually maybe crazy good now, maybe a little bit, maybe when it starts making money, I don't know. Yeah, so of course the design comes from the concept of a Rubik's Cube, in that our label names are such a puzzle to work out, wine is such a puzzle to work out. I went, what's the most iconic puzzle? A Rubik's Cube. And then I said, I'll make it harder. I'll put puzzles on the outside and instead of colours. And each line actually goes from the bottom, is dead straight. If you flatten the cube, the whole thing out, they're dead straight from one bottom piece to the other bottom piece. And there's only one line that actually stops at the top, so it starts at the bottom and stops at the top. It's one that's a bit more horizontal because it just looked better that way. Actually took 20 minutes to draw the pattern. So, and we copied it exactly. We didn't change it at all. Everything's exactly as it was that I presented in 2003. And you heard, yes, it was a little bit challenging to get through the board, but we got there eventually. What else have we got here? Yeah, done most of that one. I'm skipping it here. Don't want to talk for too long. We were actually going to build this building in 2009. We did the numbers and thought, yeah, it actually looks all right, and we started all the design again after having done the initial sort of costing. Then after a year or so of getting the design nearly ready to start, we went, well, actually with the GFC of 2008, debt had gone up quite a bit from buying a lot of vines in 2007 based on the profitability of the industry before 2008 crash. And we went, we can't really do this right now. It's too risky, really, with a higher debt and the exchange rate and everything going wrong. And so we put it on hold, which was actually very, very lucky because the building was not actually buildable at the time. You couldn't actually put this facade on in 2009 because it would have exploded each piece of glass with the white covering up part of the glass and the other part of the glass being in the sun. Then the temperature difference would explode it. But in 2014, someone started commercially doing big pieces of glass with double tempering instead of single tempering, and it meant that we could do this. So actually it was never buildable in any single point in time, and it was only fortuitous that we actually decided not to build it when we could have. And then of course it's not actually buildable in 2014 either, because of the efficiency codes changed all the time, building codes changed for efficiency of energy, and you can't actually build a building with this much glass, even though they're very, very energy efficient glass. So no one can actually go and build this building now. So I suppose it's just it had to be when it had to be, really, is all it is. it sort of evolved and changed as we grew into it. I think I hit a few concepts of what I wanted to do, just so that I didn't scare people away at the beginning, and then gradually we evolved into the museum that we have now downstairs, with multiple rooms of alternate realities, is what I call the museum. Basically, when you have a wine and I have the same wine, we have a different reality of taste, and so everything is all alternate realities in the building. Very wine specific and very D'Arenberg specific. And you would have noticed the sound as you walked up the row here. There was a euphoric sort of sound that you could listen to. There'll be actually 6 speakers going up through the row here. And you can see over here a little weather station. Well, that weather station is making the sound. There's 8 parameters of weather. We've got DJ Trip to write, and as the wind gets up or the sun comes out or the temperature changes, that sound changes. So it's and you'd think it's for us. It's actually for the grapevines, because they feel the sun come out and then they hear that sound. They go, "Oh wow, that's pretty good. We'll make better grapes." That's the idea. And then obviously as you come, the door change is a very wild door. Not quite operational right now. We've had to put a few more magnets in there to get it working, but it's almost working. Will be in the next few days, and it twists open. So the horizontal parts here become the verticals in the middle. So it's really changed what a door should be about. And you will notice the first piece of art here inside is a reverse perspective. So when you walk in here, walk sideways, stagger as if you've already been drinking, and you'll see that the actual the walls move. And then when you get closer, you'll see it's a reverse perspective, so that'll make sense when you actually get closer to it. And there's lots of other art pieces. There's a cow on a pole that's still, again, it's got a polygraph to go in front of it, and it's sitting on cow poo and horns. So this is representing biodynamics, because we're the largest biodynamic grower in Australia. And biodynamics, where you put cow poo and horns, bury it in the ground and spray it to get a better culture going in the ground, and a few other things you do as well. So and the polygraph is playing with the concept of where the science is behind this, because it was a guy in the 1920s who just came up with the idea. So anyway, and there's double meanings in everything. You can hear a few voices behind me. That's actually a peep show that I filmed with Doug Govan from the Victory and Nikki, and Nick Stock, a wine journo, and his partner, and Kath and I, and we were filmed in there for 6 hours having a party. We decked it out inside this room in here with a lot of paraphernalia. We were in 1920s outfit, and we drank, great Domaine Romani Contis and First Growth Bordeaux's, and had a very silly party. And it was all filmed, and so we've got this peep show. It was filmed through an oven, so you can see it through the disc. It's being cooked through a fridge, so it's peeping through the fridge with the milk carton there and whatever, which isn't in place quite yet, and then through a cupboard with a turntable there, and so you'll see that. And when you actually get into the room where we are in there, it's actually a different reality, and you'll see that there's a piece of artwork which is 360-degree video done by Luku Kukuku, who's here somewhere, probably working out somewhere, and he's now representing about 7 or 8 of our label names. There are 71, so it's still being generated. There's about 10 minutes that you can see in there, and there's a bit of an introduction as well. What else have I got here? I'm sort of skipping through here. The restaurant. We actually, the restaurant we wanted to, Darry's Veranda has been full for 14 years, every day of the week, and so we needed another restaurant, and we didn't have anywhere for functions, so another reason for why we wanted to build the building. And I decided that I wanted to make it the best restaurant in the world if I can, aim as high as I can anyway, at that really top level. And so we actually employed a couple of great chefs from who were trained in Michelin star restaurants in the UK and have been making a mark over here in Australia, both from South Africa. They started on the 1st of March. So it's been 10 months of creating food in there, and designing the kitchen first, but then creating food. Another 2 chefs joined them on the 1st of July, so nearly 6 months ago, and have been just in there creating food. And we had our first serving of people this week for free, and the comments were amazing. They just said we really nailed it. It was amazing. Multiple courses, very, very high-end experience with some 18 courses of tasting menu style, very creative.
I didn't get asked for that.
That's a good point, yeah, we should have, shouldn't we? I'm sure you'll get a freebie one day. You'll notice that the tasting room, again, we've got 4 bars up there, and I wanted to make the bars very creative. And so they're actually all glass. You can't see any of the structure holding it together. It's all glass, but on the top floor there are 115 televisions behind the glass. So there will be a scantily clad woman or man swimming in and out of a ferment, in a foggy ferment, behind the glass through the televisions. And the glass has been melted over grapevines on the top, so there are different rows of varieties, and the sides have caricatures of label names that were all painted by 30 of the top cartoonists of Australia. So we've got a different image playing there right now. What else was I going to say? Running out of
another opportunity to speak to Stella Dorchester.
I've nearly finished. Yeah, I've done that. The VHS tape thing, that's not in there. And we've got 3D light printing. You'll see there's one here we've set up temporarily. So this is an Australian invention. The first 3D light printers in the world. It's amazing technology. 20 screens flying up and down at 20 times a second, and they disappear to become a holograph, and we've got 2 of them going in there. One of them's actually got a dead arm, a skeleton of a dead arm that you can be able to move with diodes, infrared receivers on your hand, and you can make the hand move around with your hand inside an art piece which has got thousands of VHS tapes vertically hanging with foot projecting on the outside, foot treading projected on the outside, because we foot tread all of our fermenters, and you can go in there and you'll feel like you've fallen over in a fermenter. It's very claustrophobic, dense, and then you'll get in there in the room and there's the dead arm, so it's sort of representing death as you've fallen over in the fermenter. And there are actually 3 models of fermenters in there underneath caps and whatever, so you'll all see that. I think I've probably covered enough of those things. What else we're going to say? The South Australian Tourist Commission have been absolutely fantastic in getting the press that we've had. I have to really thank them for that. I have to say, thank the government, of course, for the $2 billion that they've given to us to make this job happen. Of course, it's a great investment, I think, on their behalf, because we have to employ 58 extra people, which we're getting there very rapidly, and 58 extra people is $2 million of wages a year, and so they'll pay it back pretty quickly. And I know that people in tourism have mooted the idea that they think we're going to get 500,000 people through here a year, which we can actually do, believe it or not. We'll cater for that many people.
Put another lift in.
And so I added up how many people I've spoken to over dinners. I travel about 3 months a year overseas. We sell to 90 countries, and I've been doing these dinners every night and day and whatever. And I added up over the 35 years of doing that, I think it's about 300,000 people I've addressed over those years, and now I get 500,000 every year in here. So it makes more sense to build one of these everywhere you go. Everyone should be doing it, really. Anyway, what have I got there? Else I did do that. All right. Well, I think we're going to have a few snacks as we wander in. But first of all, I'd like to leave to Jay to please say a few words, and then I think Leon's going to say a few after that.